Welcome back to Spotlight. I'm here with Education Officer for Secondary School, Ms. Connie George. I'm also here with Ms. Jermaine Scatlip. She's the acting principal for the BVI Technical School. Welcome to Spotlight. It's really good to see you.
Thank you very much. We're glad to be here.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, indeed. Last week, you had a meeting, a public meeting, and you talked about adding a year to the school life of the children of the Virgin Islands.
Yes.
And there was a lot of feedback, some positive, some concerns, and what appeared to me to be some misunderstandings, right? And because I was wondering, what's the reason for adding a school year to the existing school year? You know, what was that going to fix?
Okay.
You know, what was the goal?
Okay.
So I think people really wants to know what's the reason for that.
Okay, if I should begin, I would start by saying, Mr. Smith, that it's an entire package that we are building, and we are looking at improving the quality of education in this territory. We understand that we have had many successes over the many years in doing what we have been doing, but we also recognize that we have had many shortcomings. So we are looking at improving the package that we are giving out, improving the quality of our education in this territory. Now, it is not just a one-off, add another year, like it seemed to be coming over very strong. We have been doing a series of things over time. No, it's not a quick fix. We've been doing a series of things, Mr. Smith, over the last several weeks, months, years, and we are adding yet another component to the package. So this package have been including things like our key stage assessment, where this September we will be initiating what is called key stage assessments, where students will be evaluated across the territory at various levels of the system. So entrance, Class 3, Class 5, Form 3, Form 5. And we will, quote unquote, eliminate what is we now know as the Primary 5 exam. It would not be taking that form anymore. And then we have been working with the curriculum. We have been trying to align the curriculum, synchronize it across the territory, in all the islands in the territory, making sure that the schools are doing the same information, the schools are teaching the same concepts, basically around the same time, but if not in a particular time, year that these schools meet the benchmark. So the curriculum is forefront. We have been looking at that quite some. We also have been we added a few subjects in the secondary school. As we look at our territory, we look at our islands that they're developing. What is our main industries? Financial services, tourism, and also we added Virgin Island Studies as another main subject. So all these things are bringing the whole package together. Why we did that? Because we recognize that our economy is built on financial services and tourism. Our students may have some knowledge, a whole lot of knowledge, a whole lot more knowledge about tourism as an industry, but when it came to the financial services, the knowledge was very limited. So getting it into the schools, and our intent is to inculcate it at all levels in the system as time go on. So we will be doing more with those areas.
I don't want you to go on too much about the steps that you're taking for quality improvement just yet. We're going to get to that.
Okay.
But I think the public wants to know
about the additional.
Where is the because some people are saying it's a sixth farm.
Okay.
Some people are saying it's addition to 12th grade.
Right.
And then the major pushback is that some people are saying, why additional year at all if you're going to be giving the children more of the same, not so good quality education or quality education whose quality, which quality needs to be a little more improved, right? So you're giving us more of the same thing, and you're giving it us at the end of the school year. We're a little concerned about that.
To be honest, all that I'm saying comes in the whole package. So you have to see the pieces coming together. However, I will say at this point, the additional instructional time that we are looking for encompasses all these areas I'm trying to mention because of all that we've been doing with expanding what we offer as a system. So we are looking here.
Forgive me for interrupting you. I want to be clarified. So are you saying then that because of the additional classes that you've added, you need more instructional time, and so therefore you need to add this instructional time? Is it a sixth form?
No.
It's not a sixth form. We need to make that. It's not a sixth form.
We are looking at
where is this time going to be?
We are looking at inserting this additional year, what I call filling the gap, after grade 6, class 5 as we know it now. The children will then go from grade 6 to grade 7. Anybody who grew up in the BVI, you know that our tradition has been you leave class 5, then you move to Form 1 at the secondary level. And over the years also, it have become, that Form 1 somehow got the tag of grade 8 instead of grade 7. And so we are saying we have 5 years in primary, 5 years in secondary. We are filling that gap in there with the form that we are looking at, including. So we are looking at kindergarten through grade 6 primary, 7 through 12 in secondary.
So if let me see if I count correctly. You're talking about kindergarten, grade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Right.
So that's 13 years
Yes.
of education in the life of the child.
Yes.
Okay. Now, are you changing the names? Because is kindergarten is going to be what we call stage 1 and
Yes,
stage 2?
stage 1.
Stage 1.
Yes.
Okay.
And grade 1 will be what we traditionally know as stage 2.
Okay.
Yes.
So are we changing the names to grades? So we're no longer going to have stage 1, stage 2, class 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Farm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Are we changing the names to grades, or how is that the language going to change?
What is so interesting about that is that probably in the Virgin Islands, we are probably one of the only OECS countries that is still using that whole class and form structure. Because many years ago, OECS, and we do know that we are associate states of OECS, and we do follow the alum of what they're doing. They have asked that we move to grades fully. So if you go to many of the other Caribbean islands, you'll know that they're saying kindergarten to grade 6 and grade 7 to grade 11. However, we have been tagging both of them for all this time. Officially in September, we want to drop the class and the form and use grades straight up. That is our intention. So we're going to be saying kindergarten, grade 1 through grade 12.
And so our children now will be say a little longer in the primary division, or a year longer in the primary division, and then what we call the high school will finally kick in at
grade 7.
At grade 7.
Yes.
So they'll spend that extra year in the primary division, or the extra year before you're getting the full high school. Tell me, how is it going to fit?
It is going to be in the physical location of our secondary schools. Okay. What we intend to do is, and we are looking at the entire curriculum from K through 12, and we are going to have that now synchronized with the additional year that we have. So we are going to say, maybe all the stuff that we are packing into grade 6, we now expand it, some grade 6, move some over to the grade 7 level. At the same time, at the grade 7 level, our key focus is to strengthen a number of the skills, the foundational skills, strengthen a number of those reading, writing, arithmetic, the basics, the grammar, and all that kind of stuff, so that we can have a stronger foundation going forward as we go towards senior school. Because senior school have been having a lot of shortcomings in terms of time and expectations for examinations and the requirements for examinations that we have at the very end. So when we establish the 7 through 9, and then grade 10, we start our senior school. So that will give us a 10, 11, and a 12 three forms, three
Okay,
classes.
so it's almost like you're creating a middle school. Now, building the foundational basics is important to a lot of us, and to me
Yes,
particularly,
yes.
because we have been having some challenges with meeting our students meeting the standards,
Right.
the standard
Yes.
requirements of these various grades and these various sections
Yes.
of education
And beyond.
and
Beyond
beyond.
what we
So
have.
they're having challenges in the secondary division after
Primary
coming from the primary division, and then in the tertiary division, the college division, they're having challenges in there coming from the secondary division, to the point where what I like to say, we're paying for the same education 2 and 3 times.
Yes,
You're
you
paying,
always say that.
I always say that, right? We're paying for primary school and primary school, and then we're paying for primary school in secondary school, because
Right.
the primary school ain't deliver what it was supposed to be delivered
Yes.
to meet the secondary requirements. And then when we're paying for secondary school in secondary school, and we're paying for secondary school again in college,
Okay.
right? That is costing us thousands of dollars. Not just saying in the BVI, it's costing us thousands of dollars overseas. Because
Yes.
when we send a child to a school and spend $18,000 a year, and that child has to spend a year in remedial mathematics or remedial English or science before they could matriculate into the college, that's an extra $18,000 they got to spend.
And even here at our own local
And
college.
even here at our own local
because
college.
a number of our students are leaving the high school, secondary school, and having to go and do pre-college classes.
And how is this? Is this something that this extra year is going to help?
We want
address?
that is our goal, that it will help to address the fundamentals that our students are expected to have in our primary, secondary levels. We are looking here not just at the academics, the content knowledge, but we are looking at mastering, so that you have the foundation things down packed, that you are able to move on to the next level. You're able to see yourself ready for the tertiary level, and that when you get to the tertiary level, you can really function. So as we look at the curriculum and we look at student or classroom diversification, we are looking at learning diversification, because you understand that it's no longer chalk and talk that's going to work for these children. So that alone tells us you're going to need more time to do what we used to do for half an hour, write notes on the board or dictate something. You now have to include the technology. You now have to include all the other facets that will get children to really learn what you're trying to impart. The other thing I want to mention here is that we are truly encouraging our teachers to inculcate the learning styles of our students in their planning, not just sticking to one format. And so today you might have discussion, but tomorrow, the other day, you may include some
But
technology,
is that something
some
that you're
drama.
going to, is that something
Yes.
that the ministry is going to insist upon, that we provide additional training
Yes.
for our teachers,
Yes.
so that they are able to
Yes.
recognize various
Yes.
learning styles and various
Yes.
teaching methods
Yes.
as well?
Once you have been trained as a teacher, that comes with a package. However, we have not been as forthcoming with the variety in the classrooms. That's part of our problem.
Do we know the variety as
Yes,
teachers?
we do. Once you've been trained, it comes with the package.
And how
You
many-
are able to recognize. You should be able to recognize because you have been taught these things.
Now,
Yes.
as you well know, many of us come from varying social backgrounds. We come from environments sometimes where it's not supportive of education.
Yes,
We
yes.
come from environments where we don't have proper nutrition. We don't have proper relationships with our parents.
Yes. And it affects you.
And it affects our learning.
Yes, it
and
will
so
affect you.
while your plan is a great plan, you're going to naturally have some hiccups, because
Yes.
there are going to be some children who ain't going to catch on as fast as others.
And that's expected.
Right, and
And
so
that's
what,
expected. So there we
if you
have-
want to cut back, on remediation, and have all the children go through the various grades and grasp the information with all the other challenges, how are you going to do that with the challenges and your assessments when you find a child falling behind? Where is the support going to come from?
We have already started our early intervention programs. That's something that is part of the package, and persons have been hired to look at the intervention programs, to look at our remedial programs, and to let us strengthen those areas. So the key stage that I mentioned earlier is going to help us to catch some of those earlier in our system than we are now. And with doing that, there's where we're going to have the intervention programs coming on stream that we have already put into position. The other thing is professional development is ongoing. where all these different things that we are talking about and helping our teachers to identify. We want to build expertise in our teachers. And so the various intervention programs along with professional development for teachers is something that is ongoing also. It is not going to all happen overnight. It's a work in progress. And as we look at the whole package, we recognize that we could do a whole lot and still not accomplish what we want, but our intent is that we will accomplish what we are setting out to do, because we are going after it with every fiber of our being to make sure that people are going to get what they need to get. So the thing is, as I mentioned, professional development, just this very week we have our associates from England and Ireland, and they're here for an entire week, and they're dealing with our new teachers, and they're having discussions with us on special education and early childhood education. So we have partnered with them, and they're from Hertfordshire University, and they are helping us to structure those areas. So we are trying the different areas that we can.
So the support is going to identify the support systems, in particularly in the early years, the primary years, are going to identify those learners who have special needs.
Yes.
And special needs doesn't mean differently able.
Yes.
It just means that because of social factors,
yes,
that their learning is a little behind, and so you're going to identify them earlier, and then you're going to provide the support, whether it's tutoring,
yes,
or whatever the case may
yes,
be, counseling, whatever the case may be, to help them to catch up or
yes,
to keep pace.
And that key term I used earlier about diversification in the classroom. Sometimes it's not that the child has a problem with learning, it's just that you as a teacher is not using what is meeting that child's need. So
the style that you're presenting,
yes,
it needs to be a slight tweaking.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Now, I'm glad you mentioned early childhood education, and I know I ain't leaving you out, Miss Cathy. We're going to get to the technical aspect, but this is the path where the community
yes,
is,
and we want to be sure that they understand that it's the whole quality of our education we are looking at.
Yeah.
We are not looking just at extending your expense, if that's what some people are saying to us. That's not it at all. At the end of the day, parents, you're going to have a better product, I guarantee you, if you work with us.
A perfect segue into the early child education, yes, which of course is one of my other education peeves, is that first, the economic situation causes us to have to give up our children to Orleans, but that's a totally different
story.
That's an economic, political issue, right? But we are putting our children in, early childhood care, whether it's kindergarten or daycare or preschool, as the case may be. And all the psychologists and the sociologists have been telling us for many years that the formative years of human development is from birth to 5, 6, 7 years of age. But yet we seem to be putting, not providing those years with the skill set that's necessary for early childhood development. And to me, that is a major cause of the problems we have later on in 4, 6, 7, first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 grades. Whether your remediation is needed, I blame it on that early childhood stage. Whether it's the socialization process, I blame it on the early childhood stage. All of the aspects of human development, I'm blaming on the early childhood, the foundation, the early childhood development. What are we doing if we're going to improve the quality of education? We have to address that issue.
Okay.
What are we doing to address that issue?
First, I must identify that probably is a unique situation we have in the Virgin Islands. And you mentioned the whole economic situation that probably drove the development of our early childhood or daycares and preschool settings. So what we find is that in the Virgin Islands, we have the majority of these centers being privately owned. We, as a public system, we have 2 settings that we could consider early childhood preschool daycare settings. So what are we doing? Policy. We are in the presently revamping our policy for early childhood, where we are getting ourselves more involved in exactly what is taking place in the early childhood. And we have been making some strides into actually getting into the centers and monitoring what is happening in these centers. So now, along with the policy, I know that there is a curriculum being developed for this level, and we are also having our visits more regular, making sure that what is actually being set up as an early childhood center is really an early childhood center. We do admit that it has not been as quick moving, but we are working on moving it even more. The time is capacity, being able to actually cover, you know that how many centers we have in the BVI, it's a lot of centers. It's amazing that there's so many. And so we are working on becoming more involved in the centers,
so you're going to
curriculum-wise.
bring those private centers into the mainstream of the economic, of the educational quality development.
Yes,
That's the plan.
yes. No immediate plan to take them out of the private setting, because we understand that could be.
Right.
But we are working.
You don't want to make them publicly owned, but you want them to meet certain standards.
So 2 things. Last week we had the OECS in, and they were doing some work with us, and we had an entire day for early childhood. This week we have Hertfordshire in, and we have an entire day for early childhood, because we recognize that we can't any longer just concentrate on primary, secondary. We have to start with early childhood, or those 3 years, primary, secondary, and tertiary. So we are doing some work with it.
Well, it seems like I'm feeling better.
Okay, thank the Lord.
I'm feeling
Once you're feeling better, I know everybody listening will feel better.
I'm feeling
too.
better that you seem now, you're beginning to seem to have a grasp on what's going on, because for a minute there, I was saying to myself, you're going to add a year to secondary school with more the same instruction, more the same infrastructure, more the same, you know, and I haven't gotten the infrastructure in the school environment as yet, which is another issue to tackle perhaps, I don't know, tonight, because we're going to follow. I want to get some calls.
Okay.
Callers are calling, but I also want to get the teacher, Jermaine, acting principal of the BVI Technical School, which again is another problem of mine. I got all these problems with education.
But that is a key thing. The whole technical portion is also a big part of the package.
Because you know, we stick our children who perhaps needed the services that you're talking about in early childhood and in primary school, and instead of looking at them to support them, we put them, like almost like stick them in a corner somewhere and out of sight, because we thought of them as troublemakers. We didn't think of them as youngsters, bright youngsters, perhaps needing support, or perhaps had a different learning style, wanted more hands-on approach.
Exactly.
We didn't look at them from that perspective. We look at them as some don't-see, good-for-nothing children, what we want to put behind God's face and get out of sight, which is an awful thing for me to say and for us to do. But now, are we getting a sense that we need the same academic foundation for our technical school and for our children who are technically inclined as the other schools?
Yes, Pamela, we really do. And that's the emphasis that we are really going to be looking at the New Technical Institute. We are ensuring that all students have the same quality of education when it comes to the academic as well as the skill. We don't want people to think that technical education is only for those students who are not academically inclined. Because when you look at those persons who should be the engineers and the designers,
the computer programmers, the computer technicians,
right? And
the mechanics,
exactly. And the hybrid cars that we have today, we need top-of-the-line persons to maintain and service them. So we are hoping that we would attract those academic students who really want to do things with their hands. Because I, for sure, if I had the opportunity back in the day, would have been a technical student.
Me too. I would be a contractor. I'd be a contractor right now.
Right, and my family can attest to that, because I'm always fixing something. Right. So technical is not for the dumb. But we are hoping that with the new curriculum that we are putting in place at BVI, TVI, that we would attract those sort of students who really have a passion for technical education.
Okay. So what sort of improvements now are we going to see coming on stream in the technical school?
Number one is the curriculum.
First, before you say the curriculum, I know you're building a new structure.
Right.
Have you completed the new structure?
It's in the process of being completed. Yeah.
So that's going to be completed shortly. And what is that going to mean in terms of space and equipment and so on?
The new structure that we are presently renovating is to house the labs. We're going to have the computer labs on that side. We are going to have the hospitality section on that side. We are going to have the construction lab on that side. AC and refrigeration, electrical wiring, all those, and a resource center is going to be on that side. The classrooms and the science labs are going to stay on the other side, as well as cosmetology. And the staff, principal's office, secretary's office, guidance counselor office.
Okay. So you're adding more trades, more courses.
The courses that we had before, we are kind of building on them. We did small engine and auto repair. Now we are doing more auto mechanics than just a small engine and auto repair, because the students were just limited to a few skills. But now we're going to take them into where they can actually learn how to do body working, how they can diagnose and maintain the hybrid vehicles. We're going to have a lot of software over there where they're going to do a lot of simulations, and that would help them to really, learn the skills and understand what they're supposed to be about. Cosmetology was there before. We're going to take it to another height, and taking every technical subject to another height is because we are going to be following City and Guilds, which is a competency-based curriculum. We are going to make sure that our students have the skills that are set out in these curriculum. Most students, you will find, the way that we are teaching technical vocation right now is that students write an exam. And after the exam, they really can't fix anything or do anything. But with this competency base as a part of the curriculum, we are ensuring that when we say that a child knows how to use a saw,
when they graduate from there, they could work.
Exactly. They are functional.
They are functional.
Yeah.
Because I know we visit when we were doing the steering committee, and we visited the school. Like the boy said, "Listen, Mr. Smith, tell them people to bring some old cat up here. We tired of these lawnmower,
right? The lawnmower,
these weed eaters,
right?
You understand? Bring some beer. We want to fix some cans, and they were really excited about the school and about the program. So I'm glad to hear that. Now, academically, what you have in the school, you're going to be teaching reading, writing, arithmetic.
We are going to be following the CXC syllabus for academic subjects, just like the other secondary schools.
So the standard for the technical will be City and Guilds, and then the CXC will be for the academic
subjects. Correct.
So you got to pass them as well, and so
you have to also pass the school leaving exam. So all students going to be coming out of the Technical Institute with their secondary school leaving certificate. They're going to be having a TVET certificate from City and Guilds. They're going to be having certificates from CXC, so they're going to be overqualified.
They're going to know to work. This is important.
So the workforce would not complain any further that we are sending out students who are not competent or who cannot perform. We are hoping that we will bridge that gap, because the industry is going to be part of our training. We are going to be involved with different entities in the industry for apprenticeship, for on-the-job training. We also want to open our doors at the school when our students get a bit competent and more proficient. Where, like, say, a Friday afternoon, we can open cosmetology for people to come in and have their hair done for a small fee. So, we could replenish our supplies and what have you.
Internship
at the school.
And practice their skill.
Right. So the guys could, you'd be bringing your vehicle to service, so they get their hands on before they actually go out there.
That's great. I had an idea some other day when we were doing a story on the solid waste, picking up the derelict vehicles, and I thought to myself, it would be a good idea to have a youngster in the high school as part of a graduation project to take a derelict vehicle that's in
bring
fairly
it back to life.
and bring it back to life, and then on his graduation, give him the vehicle.
Right.
You know, I thought that would be a good idea. We're gonna open up the phones, and the number to call is gonna be up on the screen. Carl, I don't remember what they are. 446-1949. We want to hear from you. You could ask any question you want about education to acting principal Scatliff and education officer. Thank you, education officer Connie George. We were talking primarily about fitting where the year is going to fit in, correcting the misinformation about that extra year. Also, we are talking about the improvement of in quality of education. It's not just more education, but the type of education.
Yes. And as you said, quality education, Cromwell, we also want to ensure that we have quality students or quality graduates when they graduate. And that's not happening. Person may argue and say, well, I went through the system and I accomplished X, Y, Z. But that's a small percentage of students. We are hoping that with the reform that is presently going to take place, that we will have more of those students in the middle, those average students being more proficient. And that is our goal, to bring the students in the middle to the top. And those at the bottom to the middle, and so on.
So we don't want to have a 98% pass rate with students that are not proficient. We want to have a good pass rate of competent students, and therefore, I guess you would have to develop what we've been calling a student profile, a graduating student profile. Yes. Is that something that you have a graduating student? What a graduate would look like? Okay, what a graduate would look like when actually you could text me if you want. I don't have my other text phone, but I'll give you my number 499-1328 499-1328. If you don't want to hear your voice, if you don't want to hear your beautiful voice on the television, text me at 499-1328. But you can call us at 446-1949, and you could ask a question, unless we clear everything up so clear that you don't need to ask any questions again. I know sometimes that's the case, but if you don't want your voice heard, just give me a text 499-1328, and we'll be happy to answer all your questions. Now, so we looking at the education from kindergarten all the way through to the tertiary level, and whether it's, and I hate the terms academically inclined and socially inclined, whether it's the technical schools or the sciences and the arts, the foundation, our goal is to make the foundation the same.
Yes.
Okay, and so we're strengthening the early childhood. We start from early childhood. We want to have the legislation that give us standards in the early childhood. Policies that will give us standards in the early childhood. And we're looking at the curriculum. Now, you mentioned the curriculum, and I want to ask you about, because the curriculum seemed to be a major challenge.
Well, we have been working on the curriculum. We have K through 6 in the primary schools.
So we had a curriculum reform project years ago,
which produced K through 6 in the core subjects. The core subjects are maths, English, science, and social studies.
Okay, let's go to the phone. Thank you very much for calling Spotlight. Go right ahead, please. You're on Spotlight. Speak to us. I can hear you. Go right ahead.
Hello.
Yes. Thank you for calling.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Yeah, just want Miss Connie George to repeat the word again, overqualified. Because I was having a conversation with somebody and said, so what me say, which is a great thing, because when them finish, some of these you're going to be overqualified, which is something great. It's not none that bad, you know. That's really great. So the person said to me, overqualified way. So I want you to say it again, overqualified, like the person here for themselves.
Yes, I was talking about the certifications the certification the students at BVI, TVI would accomplish, they will be gaining CXC certificates. They'll also be getting school leaving, the secondary school leaving certificate, and they also will be getting City and Guilds certificate in TVET. So that's why I said they'll be overqualified, and the employers won't have any problem with them being competent to do whatever task they're required to do on the job.
Entry level.
Right.
I think that is great, and you keep up the good work, you know.
Thank you.
Yes.
I wish everyone understand by now, because actually, so it was just sketchy. People might confuse, but you know, I really think that by the night finish, 100 people on the positive side instead of being negative to it. So it's great.
Thank you. Thank you very much, my
sir.
brother.
Big up.
Yes, yes, big up, peace. Yeah. Yeah. So I had a thought. Talking about curriculum, but I know you said, I know you use the word overqualified, but what you really mean is that they're going to be really
certified,
ready for the workforce.
Right.
But I want to understand as well that they also will be ready to go on for further training, because the City and Guild standards is not the end all and the beyond of technical training.
You could be a doctor in TVET.
Right.
You go up to grade 8. At the technical school, we are hoping to stretch our students up to level 3. City and Guilds take you up to level 8, which would be your doctorate. So if we take our students to level 3, we would hope that the college will then pick up from level 3 and move them as far as they could take them again while they're there. And then if they wish to continue on, then they'll find a university somewhere that will take them to that other level.
So they actually become an expert in their field.
Exactly.
Whether it's auto mechanic, whether it's electrical engineering, cosmetology, they could become an expert in their field and have, as far as they could go in that field, they are able to go because the foundation is there.
Correct.
Good night. Will the extra year in school be compulsory for all students?
Yes, it will be, because it's being sandwiched right in the middle of your schooling, of your education process.
Right.
We are class 5, or what we're going to call grade 6. It will be at grade 7.
Yeah.
Can I just add something here? I don't want people to think that the BVI is unique in changing to grade
13
K
grades.
to 12. We are simply trying to play catch up and meet international and regional standards. Most OECS countries have K to 12. Some still have K to 11, as we have now, but they are in themselves in a reform mode.
Right.
The US has been doing this since
Ever.
Right.
from K to 12, and it was never a problem. We have heard the cry from the employers that our students are not ready when they graduate, and we are ensuring that they get more instructional time, because this has been one of the greatest problems, whereby we have a curriculum which is the benchmark, CXC is the benchmark, and we don't ever get to finish that syllabus with the majority of our students. The high flyers, those students who would go and write general CXC, would be able to complete it in a limited time that they have. But what about those average students, those children in the middle, that bulk of students right there? And those are the ones that we want to focus on and take to the other level. And that's why we need more time to ensure that this happens.
You know, Kwame, we did some calculations in terms of the time, because we start our CXC most of the time in Form 4. And so we have Form 4, which is 3 terms, and Form 5. We end up having a term and a half in Form 5, which takes us to roughly maybe 1,475 hours of instruction. But the CXC requirement is asking for 2,600 hours on an average. 3 years in this process before
So
they
we
actually write the
under the time.
Yes, so it's high time that we address that situation. So by the time the students have gone through the 3 foundational years, they'll move into grade 10, where they would be able to have at least 2 solid full years and more of instructional time.
Let's go back to curriculum.
Thank
You
you.
said that you had a curriculum, we had a curriculum reform process, and you have the portion of the curriculum out of the coming out of the reform process now implemented in grades kindergarten
through
to sixth grade.
In math, English, science, and social studies.
Okay. Now, so what is new? What is new in that? Can you tell us what improvements were made to the curriculum from that path from that level?
We in the past never dealt with the whole idea of benchmarks and standards. So it is a standard-based curriculum now, where you have certain levels at which you need to get to within a certain grade level, so that you can align with the next one that is following.
Okay, let's take this call. Thank you for calling Spotlight. Go right ahead, please. Go right ahead. We can hear you.
Yes, good night.
Good night.
African Studies toward positive action.
Yes, my brother.
Hello?
Yes, my brother. Try to make your question and your comment as concise as possible.
Something that we don't hear too much of in these times. We used to talk about your IQ. His IQ, her IQ, or any student in any classroom, from elementary school, high out to college, university, the IQ. We don't hear about that anymore. That is a test his general intelligence, whether they're smart, whether they're academic, or whether they're ignorant, and it shows the IQ will show whether he's capable, and he may be able to fix a car or straighten hair or do whatever. But his general intelligence can look not only at the academic world, but look at the political world, look at the economics, look at the wars in the East and wars in the West, and wars in the intelligence, the IQ.
That's
finding out their chronological age and multiplied by 100. You remember that formula?
Carla, that's an excellent question. Let me get a response from Ms. George. I mean, we haven't spoken about that in years. Yeah. The intelligent quotient, right? The IQ. Is that something that is still applicable to education in these modern times, or how is that assessed, or is that measured? How important is it for us to measure that aspect of human development?
I would say that yes, it's still important. However, as we have been looking at education reform, the tendency to believe and accept the fact that every child can learn and every child have a level of ability, and it's just a matter of how we tap into that level of ability. I mean, as a teacher, I know students that I would have considered students who were quote unquote weak students. However, when they get out into the community and they find their niche, if you want to call it that, they excel tremendously. I can't say that child doesn't have a high IQ. He does. It's just that I wasn't reaching him with what I was doing. So the tendency for education in these times, education reform and education, is not so much to stratify our students into high and low. Yes, we have the students who are going to fly, and they will fly in their areas, their academics. However, on the other hand, you're going to have the other child who I may have said was not a smart child, excelling at what he's doing. It's a matter of finding where the child is and giving them the exposure. And also it goes with interest and a number of the things that you mentioned earlier. Today, we need to see that every child is a learner and every child can learn. Enabling
every child to realize their full potential.
Exactly.
That's really the goal.
Exactly.
The focus
and that's why you have such a strong push now for inclusion classrooms, even though you might have a handicap of whatever form.
A differently abled
yes,
child.
You will not be ostracized or isolated like it used to happen in the past. Now you're in the same classroom. It's just that you're given instruction to accommodate your needs. Yeah.
Now there's a concept that's been come to my attention from several months ago, where there is a wide spectrum of children that need support service, from the differently abled to the extremely gifted. And it was interesting to me that the gifted children also had special needs.
Yes, yes, yes.
You know,
They're actually categorized as remedial students also.
Yeah, yeah.
The word remedial here, we have been using it as the lower end and those who have deficiencies. But those who are excelling, we have been not seeing them as remedial, but they have a special need.
They have special needs.
They have a special need.
What
so
it was drawing
we
my attention, for example, that being that they are so smart, they have challenges fitting in, finding people to socialize with, people on their level
and
being their age.
Underchallenged.
And being
That's
underchallenged.
one of their biggest problems. You are wasting my time.
So have we bought into that concept in our education process?
Yes.
And are we looking to provide the services on that wide spectrum, not just to children that's differently able, but also all along that spectrum, up to the various learning capacities of other children. So are we going to be hiring people? How are we going to be dealing with those particular kind of issues? Counselors, people who are skilled in that field. How are we able to deal with those type of situations?
As far as possible. That's all I can answer that question. Simply because we do have constraints, and we're not going to pretend like we don't. So we have our limitations in terms of how much we can hire. Yes, and as a result of that, we are endeavoring to fill the gaps and do what we can do with what we have, and fill in the gap as much as possible if we can get additional staff, because we do need in some of those special areas. I will not kid you in that, because we do need specially trained persons in that area. Yes.
Of course, you're watching Spotlight, and I have with me Education Officer Connie George and Acting Principal of the BBI Technical School, Jermaine Scatliff. We're talking about improving the quality of education in the territory, specifically where the additional year fits in to that quality improvement strategy. The phone number, of course, was on the screen, 446 1949, as well as the text. We have a couple of minutes remaining. We wanted to terminate at 8 o'clock. We have a couple of minutes remaining. Let me see. Yes, actually 2 minutes. A couple is right. Actually 2 minutes remaining. You could get a question in. If not, we're gonna wrap up. But I'm happy that you were able to clarify that position for me, and those two areas, in the TVET area and the technical vocational training area, as well as the academic area, where the year is going to fit in, how it's going to fit in, the goal for the year, what it really means, as well as the recognition that Dunsi children can't do the technical school. We can't isolate our children and call them Dunsi and not provide the services that they need. Because we don't take care of them when they're smart. So I'm very happy to have had this discussion. We're gonna have to come back.
Oh, we will.
Yeah, we'll be okay. I know. I don't like to come on TV, but we're gonna have to come back and talk about all the things that you started to talk about. To see the package.
So you could see
you're now saying that you have a package.
Yes.
And we need to see the package. We need to see exactly not only the academic infrastructure, but the environmental infrastructure, the physical plan. The schools improvement, because we got some buildings. We got some buildings and things there that my name still carve on them when I was going to school. And we have to do something with them. Yes. So we'd like to talk a little bit about that. So perhaps in the month ahead, we could come back and talk about the whole package from a holistic perspective. It was really, really great having you, and I'm really happy that we had this conversation. Yes, indeed. Next week, let's see what's happening what the spotlight going to shine on next week. Next week, the spotlight will shine on Dr. Cindy George in the upcoming Helping Professionals Conference. It's going to be a conference where professionals like Officer Connie George and Acting Principal Scatliff educators can go and get their skills, their professional skills sharpened and become on the edge of the technological and scientific advancement in their professional areas. So that's going to be an interesting discussion and an interesting conference coming up. Also, we know this month was African Descendant History Month. I'm going to have, to round things off, Egyptologist Astra Cressy He's going to be talking, of course, about African descendants, our story, our origins, our culture, what we used to be, the glorious days of our existence before our fall and conquest into the transatlantic slave trade. So that's going to be an interesting discussion as well, and let everybody know, and it's something that you don't want to miss. Spotlight is seen, of course, every Tuesdays at 8 p.m. here on JTV Channel 55. We thank you for your encouragement, for your criticisms, your suggestions. You can email me at jtvspotlight@yahoo.com. I'm at Jurenka reminding you that when the spotlight is on, you see the facts. Peace and blessings.
Spotlight is brought to you by the National Bank of the Virgin Islands, the BVI Tourist Board, and CCT Global Communications.